We agreed to leave everything to our kids. Then I saw her new will, with my name crossed out. I wasn't snooping. That's what I keep reminding myself, even now. I wasn't digging through her drawers or trying to catch her in a lie. I was just looking for our old tax return. That's it. I was cleaning out the study, trying to get our files organized for the accountant. Simple. Boring. But in the back of the filing cabinet, behind the folders we hadn't touched in years, I found the envelope. It was thick, cream-colored, labeled in her handwriting. Final, do not open. Naturally, I opened it. And there it was. Her signature. A date from 4 months ago. A newly typed last will and testament, drawn up without me. No joint signature. No mention of our wishes. And in the section marked primary beneficiaries, my name was gone. Just gone. Instead, she'd listed her nephew, Clay Donovan. Clay. The same Clay who once borrowed 10 grand from us and forgot to pay it back. The same Clay who couldn't hold a job longer than 6 months and once crashed our car backing out of the driveway because he was texting. I read it twice, then a third time, because it didn't make sense. There was no mention of our daughter, Erin. No reference to our house or our joint account. It looked like she had taken our life, the one we built together, and rewritten it like I didn't exist. At first, I thought it had to be a mistake. I didn't say anything right away. Instead, I took photos of the will. Every page, front and back. Then I carefully returned it to the envelope, slid it back where I found it, and shut the drawer like I'd never opened it at all. That evening, she was in the kitchen making spaghetti, humming along to the radio like it was any other Tuesday. I watched her from the doorway. The way her hands moved automatically, the way she added just a pinch of sugar to the sauce like she always did. I'd been married to this woman for 38 years. We raised a daughter. We buried both our parents. We paid off a mortgage and argued about paint colors and lost sleep over bills. I thought I knew her, but something had changed, and now I had proof. Over the next few days, I started looking closer. The little things I had ignored now had shape. She'd started taking more private phone calls in the bedroom. She was spending more time with book club, even though I'd never seen her crack a novel in months. She suddenly had strong opinions about selling the lake cabin, when before she'd insisted we keep it for the grandkids. And then there was Clay. He showed up at the house 3 weekends in a row, each time with some new story about a business venture he was trying to launch. A sports bar, an RV flipping service, something about crypto ATMs. I didn't understand half of it, but she'd laugh and say, "Oh, let him try. He's got ideas." I started to get the picture. I met with a lawyer in town. Quietly. A woman named Marcia McMillan. Her office was small, tucked behind a bakery. She looked at the photos I brought her and let out a low whistle. "Your wife didn't file this officially yet," she said. "No courthouse stamp, no notary on the copy. But the intent is there. This is a backup draft or a private copy she had drawn up without your consent. That's unusual for a joint estate. What happens if she does file it?" I asked. "Well," Marcia said, folding her hands, "if she signs this formally and passes before you, you could be locked out of everything you assumed was shared, especially if she's been moving assets into her name quietly." I felt the air go out of my lungs. "You mean she could leave me with nothing?" "In a worst-case scenario," she said. "Yes." That night, I didn't sleep. I kept thinking about all the times I'd trusted her with financial stuff because, frankly, she was better with numbers than me. I earned the money. She managed the spreadsheets. We used to joke about it. I build the boat. I'd say, "You steer it." I thought she was steering us to a safe harbor. Now I wasn't so sure. About a week later, I saw her car parked at Clay's condo when she said she was at her friend Luann's. I didn't confront her. I didn't follow her inside. I just drove by twice to make sure I wasn't imagining things. She was there. For over 3 hours. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about money. It wasn't just about a will. It was betrayal. The slow, calculated kind. And I wasn't going to let it bury me. After I saw her at Clay's condo, something inside me went still. Not angry. Not sad. Just cold. Like a switch flipped. I'd spent nearly 4 decades assuming we were a team. That we had each other's backs. But now I understood. She was making moves without me. Maybe even against me. And I needed to start making my own. The next morning, while she was out meeting friends for brunch, I pulled up our financial records. Everything was password protected, which wasn't unusual, but I realized I didn't know half the new accounts she'd opened in the last 2 years. There was a savings account in her name only. A credit card I'd never seen a bill for. She'd rerouted our Amazon orders to her email. Even the utility bills were now under her name alone. It was slow, subtle, but deliberate. She was separating herself. Financially, logistically, maybe even emotionally. I printed copies of everything I could access. I took pictures of the screen with my phone when I couldn't download. Every statement, every login page. I wasn't sure what I'd need yet, but I knew I might not get another chance. I met again with Marcia, the attorney. She looked through the new files, nodding. She's been preparing, quietly transferring, probably under the radar of even her own accountant. She's trying to cut me out, I said. Marcia gave a small nod. Yes, and from what I'm seeing, she's using Clay as a proxy. What can I do? You've already done the most important part, she said. You noticed before she acted officially. That gives us time. Now, we secure your side. She helped me draft a financial freeze request on our joint accounts, requiring both signatures for withdrawals over a certain threshold. We transferred my pension payments to a new account in my name only. I also granted her limited power of attorney access, only for healthcare decisions, nothing else. Just in case she tried to claim I was hiding things. Then, at Marcia's suggestion, I had my own will drawn up. Fair, clean, and updated. My daughter Erin would get the house, the car, and everything left in my name. And for the first time in weeks, I slept 8 full hours. That weekend, Erin came by with the grandkids. My daughter's always been sharp, like her mother, but more grounded. She knew something was off. You okay, Dad? She asked while we grilled in the backyard. I'm all right, I said, flipping burgers. Why? You've been quiet lately. And Mom's been different. I raised an eyebrow. She's just been weird with the kids, Erin said. Short-tempered. Distracted. She forgot Noah's birthday party last month, remember? And when I brought it up, she snapped at me. Said she was under stress. But she wouldn't say from what. I nodded slowly. Things are changing, I said. But I've got it under control. She watched me for a second. Is this about Clay? I blinked. Because if he's sniffing around again, you need to keep an eye on him, Erin said. You know Mom has a soft spot for him, but he's bad news. I know, I said. I'm handling it. She didn't press further, but she didn't look surprised either. That night, my wife came home late. Said she had a long meeting at the library board. She didn't look me in the eye. I asked, gently, how's Clay doing? She paused at the fridge. Why? Haven't seen him in a while, I said casually. Just wondering. She gave a short shrug. He's got a lot going on. Some investments. Business things. She never mentioned business before, not in years. But now she was echoing Clay's language. I nodded, playing along. Must be exciting. She gave a vague smile, then disappeared upstairs with her phone in hand. I waited exactly 15 minutes, then turned on the old landline we still had in the office. It had a recording function, legal in our state as long as one party, me, was aware. I dialed Clay's number. It rang twice. Hey, he answered. It's me, I said, dropping my voice a bit. We're good for tomorrow? There was a pause. Remind me, he said cautiously. You know, the papers. Mom said you were handling it. Another pause. Then, right. Yeah, we're set. Same time, I said. And she's good to sign, yeah? Oh yeah, he said. She's on board. Trust me. Click. I ended the call and saved the recording. There it was. Confirmation that they were planning something together. I spent the next few days preparing. I printed out my copy of the phone recording with date and timestamp. I documented the call. I checked with Marcia, and she confirmed it would hold up as part of a timeline. Not a smoking gun, but strong enough to show intent. Then I called a friend, a private investigator I'd worked with years ago during a property dispute. A quiet man named Russ, who never asked too many questions. I gave him one instruction. Follow Clay. Just for a week. For days in, Russ called me. He's been meeting with your wife every other afternoon. Always in public places. Quiet meetings, lawyer's office, notary service, even the bank yesterday. Did they sign anything? Hard to say. He carries a slim folder. She signs something. He puts it away. They shake hands. My jaw clenched. Give me photos. Already done, Russ said. That night, I sat on the porch and watched the sun drop behind the trees. We used to sit out here together, her and I, talk about trips we'd never take, grandkids we hoped to spoil, dinners we'd cook and friends we'd host. Now, I sat alone, but I wasn't broken, because now I had clarity. I had proof, and I had a plan. They thought I'd roll over. But I wasn't done yet. The day I received the photos from Russ, I sat down and looked through them one by one. Printed on matte paper, each one captured something small, but damning. There was my wife walking into the bank with Clay, sitting across from him at a patio cafe with papers in hand, smiling. The kind of smile she hadn't given me in months. What hit hardest wasn't the meetings or even the documents. It was the comfort, the ease. She looked like someone making plans with a partner, not a nephew. I laid the photos on the dining room table, one after another, like puzzle pieces. I made notes beside them. Dates, times, locations. I kept everything factual. No feelings. Facts win cases. Feelings lose them. That weekend, she suggested we visit the lake cabin one last time, she said, before putting it on the market. I agreed. I wanted the quiet, the drive, the space. It had always been a neutral ground for us, where we'd fished, grilled, and played cards with Erin as a little girl. It was the only place I thought she might slip, even a little. On the way up, she was oddly cheerful. Talked about renovations, and how maybe we could rent it out instead of selling. I didn't say much. Just let her talk. At one point, she glanced over and said, "You've been quiet lately." "Just thinking," I said. "About what?" "Us," I replied. She didn't answer. Just looked out the window. At the cabin, I grilled dinner. We sat outside with our plates and the birds. She opened a bottle of wine. I sipped iced tea. Then she said something I didn't expect. "I know things have felt distant lately," she began. "I've been overwhelmed with Clay and with the estate planning. I know I should have talked to you more." "You think?" She flinched a little. "It's not what you think. I wanted to protect our future." I looked at her. By cutting me out of it. That shut her up. Her eyes narrowed, calculating. "You went through my files. I found what I needed to find." "You're being paranoid," she snapped. "Clay's had financial troubles. I was helping him restructure. By signing things behind my back." Silence. "Look," she finally said. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. But we're not happy. We haven't been." There it was. The real reason. "I see," I said. She put her wine down, slower than usual. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be. We can work something out, fairly." I nearly laughed. Back home, I acted like everything was normal. She made lasagna. We watched the news. She told Erin over the phone that we were doing great. I waited. Because the next step had to be mine, but only when everything was ready. With Marcia's help, I compiled a full case folder. Photos, call recordings, financial statements, timeline of secret meetings, evidence of her altered will, witness affidavits from Russ and our banker, who confirmed she'd inquired about transferring title on the cabin without my signature. Then I made one more stop, to our accountant. He was shocked when I showed him what she'd done. "She never mentioned removing you from anything," he said. "She told me you were in full agreement on all estate decisions." "She lied," I said. "And now she's trying to hand it all to Clay." He sighed. "I hate being in the middle." "You won't be," I said. "I just need a sworn letter confirming what she told you." "And when?" He nodded. "You'll have it tomorrow." I booked a quiet meeting with Erin and her husband on a Sunday afternoon. No drama. Just coffee at their kitchen table while the kids played outside. "I need to tell you something," I said. She looked concerned. I laid it all out. Not everything, just enough. The altered will. The closed accounts. The meetings with Clay. Her name removed from the lake cabin deed. At first, she was silent. Then, she told me you'd started hiding money from us. Did I? "No," she said quietly. I didn't believe her. But she sounded so sure. "She's been planning this for months, Erin. Maybe longer." "And Clay?" she asked. "I think they've been involved, financially and otherwise." She covered her face. "I feel sick." "You deserve to know the truth," I said. "Before this goes public." That night, Erin called her mother. I don't know what was said, but my wife didn't come home. She stayed at a hotel for 2 nights. I used that time to finish everything. Transferred my name off anything she'd touched. Locked down my accounts. Hand-delivered my divorce filing to the courthouse. Scheduled a freeze on shared credit lines. Left a note on the kitchen table. "You can lie to everyone else, but not to me." When she finally came back, she looked shaken. Not angry, just rattled. She walked through the house like a stranger. Stared at the bookshelves. Sat at the kitchen table, but didn't eat. Her suitcase stayed by the door. "We don't have to do this like enemies," she said at one point. "No," I replied. Just honestly. She didn't respond. The court date is in 6 weeks. Until then, we live like roommates, polite, distant, waiting for the final word. But I'm not bitter. I'm prepared. And she knows it. The court date came quicker than expected. 6 weeks passed like fog rolling in, quiet, damp, and just heavy enough to smother conversation. We barely spoke. We passed each other in the hallway, shared coffee without looking up. She kept her phone close, and I stopped asking questions. Because now I had answers. And soon, so would the judge. That morning, I put on my only dark blue suit. The same one I wore to Aaron's wedding. It still fit, more or less. A little loose in the shoulders. Probably because I hadn't eaten a full meal in weeks. I looked at myself in the mirror. Gray stubble, quiet eyes, tie a bit uneven. But I was steady. She came downstairs in black slacks and a cream blouse. Her expression unreadable. Not quite cold, but not warm either. Neutral. Like someone going into a business meeting. We didn't ride together. At the courthouse, Marcia met me on the front steps. She carried a slim black folder and her usual calm confidence. "You ready?" she asked. More than ever. Inside, the courtroom was smaller than I expected. Only a few benches. A long table on either side. And a judge who looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. My wife arrived 5 minutes later with her own attorney. A slick younger guy in expensive shoes and a smirk that faded as soon as Marcia handed him our file. The judge called us forward. She asked if we wanted to try mediation. Marcia said no. Her lawyer asked for a delay. The judge denied it. And so we began. Marcia opened with the timeline. 5 years of financial partnership, followed by 2 years of concealed asset transfers, falsified documents, and secret legal arrangements to rewrite the estate. Then she produced the alternate will. The judge raised her eyebrows. "Mr. Donovan," she said to Clay's name on the paper, "is not your husband. Why is he listed as the primary beneficiary?" Her lawyer tried to spin it. "It was only a draft," he said. "Never notarized." But the intent was clear, Marcia said, flipping to the page with the handwritten notes in my wife's own pen. "See here, notes about the house, the cabin, the accounts." She refers to them as hers, not theirs. And she began shifting titles shortly after this document was written. The judge asked my wife to respond. She said nothing, just stared straight ahead. Next came the bank statements, the credit cards, the closed accounts, the consulting fees wired to Clay's business account. The judge asked, "Is there any explanation for these financial moves?" Her lawyer muttered something about family support. Marcia presented the photos. Clay and my wife at the notary office, at the lawyers, at the bank. And finally, the call recording. Her lawyer objected. The judge overruled. Marcia played it. "She's good to sign, yeah?" "Oh yeah, she's on board. Trust me." Silence in the courtroom. The judge wrote something down, then looked at me. "Mr. Harlan, do you have anything else you'd like to say?" I stood slowly. "I don't want revenge," I said. "I just want what's fair. I worked my whole life to build what we had." She tried to give it away behind my back. To someone who never earned it. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. The judge nodded. "Thank you." She turned to my wife. "Do you have a response?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. Her eyes went glassy, but no words came. The ruling was swift. All assets were to be frozen until a full forensic review was complete. The altered will was voided. The original joint estate plan reinstated. The house remained mine. The cabin, too. And the judge issued a formal warning. If any further attempts were made to hide or divert funds, criminal charges could follow. It was over, at least on paper. We exited the courthouse separately. Marcia shook my hand. "You did everything right," she said. "And you stayed calm. That helped." "I couldn't afford to lose my temper," I said. That's what she was counting on. She smiled faintly. Well, she miscalculated. At home, the silence felt different now. Not tense, just empty. I sat on the porch, the same place I'd once planned retirement, vacations, holidays with grandkids. It would all look different now, but at least it was mine. Erin stopped by that evening. She hugged me for a long time. Didn't say much at first. Then she asked, "Is it really done?" "Not quite. There's still paperwork." "And her? She'll have to figure things out." Erin looked down. "She told me it was about security, that you didn't want to plan for the future." "She planned all right," I said. "Just not with me." Erin shook her head. "She lied to all of us." "She lied to herself first," I replied. Then we watched the sunset together, not talking, just sitting, breathing. 3 weeks later, Clay disappeared. Not literally, just from our lives. He left town, shut down his consulting firm, and posted some vague message on social media about moving on. No one's heard from him since. My wife, or rather, my ex-wife, now lives in a one-bedroom apartment on the other side of town. Aaron hasn't spoken to her since the hearing. I didn't ask her to choose sides. But sometimes the truth makes the choice for you. I'm not angry anymore. Anger is loud, reckless, quick to burn out. I chose something better. I chose peace. Because when someone tries to erase you, the best revenge is showing them you're still standing. After the ruling, I expected silence. A cold cut. A clean break. But instead, she called. 3 days after the court hearing, I saw her number flash across my screen. I let it ring the first time. Let it go to voicemail. I didn't listen to it. The next day, she called again. Then a text. Can we meet somewhere to talk? I stared at it for a full 5 minutes. Then I wrote back one word. Why? She replied. Because I don't think you understand. That made me laugh. Quiet, tired laughter. The kind that builds up after too much has been said and too many lines have already been crossed. But something in me was curious. So I agreed. We met at a neutral place, a diner off Route 12. The kind with worn booths and waitresses who call you Han, without looking up. She was already there when I arrived, seated in the far corner. She wore a light gray sweater and too much perfume. Her hair was done the way she used to wear it when we'd visit her sister in Michigan. Formal, like she wanted to appear together. Thanks for coming, she said. I sat without a word. She hesitated, then pushed a small folder across the table. Inside was a breakdown of her financial situation. Rent receipts, loan documents, a rejection letter from a mortgage company. She was struggling. I just wanted you to know where I'm at, she said softly. I closed the folder. You had options, I said. You chose this one. I didn't think it would go this far. No, I said. You didn't think I'd fight back. That landed hard. I was scared, she said after a moment. Clay made it sound like we were just preparing. Like it was smart planning. He said you were distracted. That you'd be okay. Clay convinced you to erase your husband from his own life. He didn't put a gun to my head. No, I said. You walked right in with both eyes open. She started crying. And for a moment, just a flicker, I felt sorry for her. But then I remembered the sound of her voice on that recording. How casually she spoke about me. Like I was an obstacle. A hurdle to clear. I wasn't trying to hurt you, she said. I just thought, maybe you were done. With us. With caring. I was still here, wasn't I? She wiped her eyes. Would you ever forgive me? I looked at her then. Really looked. And I saw what I hadn't wanted to admit. She wasn't the woman I married anymore. Maybe she hadn't been for a long time. No, I said. But I don't hate you. I just don't know you. She nodded slowly. Then we said goodbye. No hug. No dramatic exit. Just the end. After that, things fell into place fast. The property titles were returned to their original state. The accounts unfrozen. The lake cabin remained mine, and I had it reappraised and fully secured. I updated my own will. This time, naming Aaron as my sole beneficiary. Aaron offered to help with errands, paperwork, and anything else I needed. I could tell she felt a strange mix of guilt and relief. Dad, she said one afternoon, I wish I'd seen it sooner. You weren't supposed to, I replied. She didn't want anyone to. Life slowed down. Not in a sad way. More like a deep breath I hadn't taken in years. I started walking more. Waking up early. Cooking for myself. Mowing my own lawn again. I fixed the screen door on the back porch, a project I'd ignored for 6 summers. I read every book that had sat untouched in the den. I even started writing a bit. Nothing serious, just reflections. Because when you go through something like this, you start seeing things differently. Not as losses, but as openings. Clay never showed up again. Someone told me he left the state. Another said he was trying to start a bar in Reno. I didn't care enough to verify. What mattered was that he was gone, and that she was left with the fallout of her choices. She tried calling again a few weeks later. I didn't answer, because there was nothing left to say. One morning, I found a small envelope in my mailbox. No stamp, no return address. Inside was a handwritten letter from her. I'm sorry. You deserve better. I hope you find peace. I folded the note and tucked it into a drawer. Not out of sentiment, but out of closure. Some things don't need burning. They just need to be left behind. I still see Aaron and the grandkids every Sunday. We go to the park, feed the ducks, eat ice cream like we're all 5 years old again. She asked me recently if I'd ever consider dating again. I said, I'm not looking. She smiled. Maybe someone will find you then. Maybe. But for now, I have quiet. I have truth. I have what's mine. And that's enough. It's been just over a year now. A full circle around the sun since I found her new will in that drawer, saw my name crossed out in ink, and realized the woman I'd spent 3 decades with had quietly chosen to erase me from our future. Some days it feels like it happened yesterday. Other times, it's like watching someone else's story. A man I used to be. A life that no longer fits. But what came after? That's what I want to talk about. Because people think stories like mine end in rage or heartbreak. Mine ended in clarity. The house is quiet now, but not empty. It breathes again. I renovated the spare bedroom into a reading room. Got rid of the heavy drapes she loved and let sunlight pour in. Donated half the furniture, gave away the china we never used, and had the carpets professionally cleaned. Not out of spite, but because I needed the place to stop smelling like compromise. I moved on without moving out. And that, I've learned, is a kind of victory. People ask if I'm angry. Not anymore. Anger's a fire that consumes everything. Not just the liar, not just the betrayal. It eats at the floorboards of your peace, makes your days shorter, your nights longer. I let that go. I replaced it with something better, presence. I wake up, drink my coffee slowly, read the paper like it matters. I walk downtown and know the names of store clerks again. I even joined a community garden. And I show up, for my daughter, for the grandkids, for myself. As for her, we don't talk. I didn't block her number. I didn't scream, break dishes, or post anything online. I just stopped showing up where she thought I'd always be. That's what caught her off guard. Not revenge, not legal threats, but the silence. She tried once more, about 6 months after the divorce was finalized. She sent me a message. Do you ever miss what we had? I didn't answer. Not because I'm cruel, but because I do remember what we had and what she gave away. She doesn't get to borrow that memory back. Clay's name came up once in a conversation Aaron had with a mutual cousin. Apparently, he moved to Arizona, opened a real estate agency, closed it, opened a consulting company, closed that too. He's one of those people always building something, but never sticking around long enough to finish anything. A man who dreams fast and leaves faster. I hope she's proud of what she traded for. Sometimes, I think about the moments that should have warned me. Small things, locked drawers, unexplained withdrawals, stories that shifted each time she told them. But hindsight's a perfect lens. The truth is, I wanted to believe we were stronger than that. That 30 years meant something. That being there through the hard parts, the job changes, the surgeries, the years when money was tight, earned me loyalty. Turns out, loyalty isn't a reward. It's a choice. One she stopped making. There's a bench by the lake where we used to walk. She hasn't been back, but I go there often now. Not to dwell, just to sit, breathe, remember who I was before all this, and who I am now. A man who survived being erased and wrote himself back in. I updated my will. It's simple. Everything goes to Aaron and the grandkids. No trusts, no tricks, no side deals. Just clean lines, clear names. And when I signed it, I felt something settle inside me. Like placing the final stone on a rebuilt wall. Not to keep anyone out, but to make sure I know who's welcome in. The neighbors started noticing the change. They'll say things like, "You seem lighter," or "You're always working on something these days." I just smile, because they don't know the details, not all of them. But they saw enough. They knew who she was. Knew what Clay looked like pulling into our driveway that one summer. They put it together. And now, they talk to me again. It's funny how truth draws people in quietly. Erin told me last week she's thinking about switching careers. Said she wants to do something that actually matters. I told her, everything you do matters. But if it's time to start over, do it. Life's short. She looked at me like she finally believed I knew what I was talking about. Maybe that's the biggest thing I've learned. Starting over isn't failure. It's faith in yourself, in the path forward, even after someone tried to rewrite your ending. This chapter is mine, and I'm writing it slowly, one honest day at a time. In a house with my name still on the deed. In peace I earned the hard way. And if you ask me now, was it worth it? I'd say this. No one chooses to be betrayed. But you can choose what you build from the rubble. And I chose something real.